The former sailor was just the second person to be pardoned by President Trump, but he is the first to take action against the former administration, saying he was subject to unequal protection of the law. Saucier's attorney Ronald Daigle tells Fox News he intends to sue the Department of Justice, former FBI Director Comey, and former President Barack Obama. Specifically, Daigle will argue that the same officials who punished his client, who served a year in federal prison, chose to be lenient with Hillary Clinton in her use of that private email server and handling of classified information. This is the latest development after Saucier made it clear back in that interview you played from it that he feels he was being scapegoated.
For somebody that like myself who's, patriotic and all I ever wanted to do was serve my country. And it was a clear attempt by the Department of Justice, under Obama to use me as a scapegoat to take the heat off Hillary Clinton for mishandling classified information.
Now, to be clear, Saucier pled guilty in 2016 to taking classified photos inside the USS Alexandria in 2009, but maintained he made an honest mistake by taking the photos for personal mementos. And despite his prosecution, he still has faith in the system. Daigle says he intends to highlight the difference between how Clinton's case was handled and his clients. And I've just received in the moments ago, Sandra, an email back from Ronald Daigle, and he says as far as the timing of when this will be filed in Manhattan, he says, we think, quote, we think that the IG report will add much information to our lawsuit to show how stacked the justice system has been for my client in comparison to Hillary Clinton. We will file within the next few months.
To turn our attention, believe it or not, to former President Bill Clinton. Back in the news, like an unwanted house guest that overstayed his welcome by, let's say, a few decades. Bill Clinton is back in the public spotlight, obviously making money, pushing a brand new book, and it's off to a horrible start. So what the grandfather, we can call him the grandfather of today's Me Too movement, Clinton failed to realize is that it's no longer 1996. And all his buddies in the mainstream media can no longer afford to give him the free pass on his history of rampant, horrific sexual misconduct. During an interview with NBC News, the former president was finally pressed. Now, they could have done this before the election, but of course they wanted Hillary to win. But he was pressed on how he mishandled the Monica Lewinsky scandal. And almost unbelievably, Clinton, who was impeached for lying under oath, said he did the right thing. Remember, Paula Jones said he dropped his pants and got naked in front of her. We know what Juanita Broaddrick charged him with rape. Kathleen Willey groping, grabbing, fondling, touching against her will in the Oval Office. And then, of course, Monica. Watch this.
Clinton says critics are now pouncing in light of the Me Too movement, but he stands by his decision to fight impeachment rather than resign.
So a lot of the facts have been conveniently omitted to make the story work. But I think partly because they're frustrated that they got all these serious allegations against the current occupant of the Oval Office, and his voters don't seem to care. I think I did the right thing. I defended the Constitution.
Yeah? What fact was omitted? Please tell us, because let's see, you lost your law license, you lost a judgment in the case of Paula Jones and paid money, and yeah, you were impeached. Finally, you got to give some credit to the mainstream media. They obviously lost sight of what their usual bias is. In this case, it was NBC. Craig Melvin continued to press Clinton, and the former president just could not take it, handle it, or even believe it. He's living back in 1996. Take a look.
Do you think differently or feel more responsibility?
No, I felt terrible then, and I came to grips with it.
Did you ever apologize for it?
No, yes, and nobody believes that I got out of that for free. I left the White House $16 million in debt. But you typically have ignored gaping facts in describing this, and I bet you don't even know them.
Do you feel like you owe her an apology?
No, I do. I do not. I've never talked to her. But I did say publicly on more than one occasion that I was sorry. I dealt with it 20 years ago plus, and the American people, 2/3 of them stayed with me. And I've tried to do a good job since then with my life and with my work. That's all I have to say to you.
Remember he once said, we were alone, but I never really thought we were alone. Me and Monica, I looked out the window as a girl on a bicycle, so as long as there's somebody else out there in the world, you're never really alone, are you? Did not have sex with that woman, not a single time. For years, both Bill and Hillary Clinton, they've acted above the law. The complicit media gave them a pass. They ignored all of this in the 2016 election. And Bill Clinton's sick, perverted history of sexual misconduct, including all of these allegations. We've interviewed these women, even rape, have gone unpunished. And the media didn't bring it up in 2016 because they wanted her elected. And by the way, we all know Hillary was gifted leniency by James Comey after she committed felonies, violated the Espionage Act, deleted 33,000 subpoenaed emails, acid washed her hard drive, and broke up her devices with a hammer, or had an aide do it. Do you think you or any other ordinary, everyday American would be given a pass by law enforcement if you did what Hillary Clinton did or did what Bill Clinton did? I doubt it. And what about the Clinton campaign paying a foreign spy to cook up unverified, untrue, proven false in most cases, Russian intelligence to use as an research against President Trump? Anyone in the Clinton campaign under investigation for that Russian collusion? No, the Mueller witch hunt is only investigating Trump associates. We have a two-tiered justice system. This is the danger in this country today. If we're going to remain a constitutional republic, one that benefits the Clinton at every turn, and they have laughed all the way to the bank. And by the way, you should all be outraged. Now, despite all of this, we do have amazing news to share with you tonight. It is now the 500th day since Donald Trump was inaugurated, and after months of predictions that a Trump presidency would lead this country in ruins, well, it is now undeniable that the entire world is seeing massive, serious progress under the president's leadership. We have pending talks with the North Korean dictator. That's just days away. We're going to talk about the denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. That now weighs in the balance in the interim. Let's see. Kim Jong-un has halted all of his missile tests. No more missiles being fired over Japan in the interim. He literally is destroying one of his nuclear test sites. It's been disabled. Don't forget, 3 American hostages were also returned, and he walked over the DMZ into the arms of the South Korean president. All good news, not a dime paid, like in the case of Obama or Clinton, in showing peace through strength works. And also breaking today, 3 longtime North Korean generals have been fired by Kim Jong-un, another good potential sign of North Korea's commitment towards serious reform. And meanwhile, on day 500, the Trump presidency, let's see, we've seen so many great developments right here at home. We don't even have the time to list them. Look at the side of your screen. Nearly 3 million plus jobs have been created, 300,000 in manufacturing alone. The unemployment rate, an almost unprecedented 3.8%, the lowest in 50 years. We have for African Americans all-time low unemployment rate. Same with Hispanic Americans. Same for women in the workplace. 14 state record lows as it relates to unemployment. Consumer confidence, 17-year high. Now, this after passing a historic $3.7 trillion tax cut and cutting 22 regulations for every new one enacted. And even the New York Times, of all places, writing, we ran out of words to describe how good these job numbers are. And fake news CNN even had to report that the unemployment rate matches its lowest point in half a century. Other accomplishments include the president keeping his promise. The U.S. Embassy has moved to Jerusalem and Israel, getting America out of that horrific Iranian nuclear deal. And you can't forget about Trump's actions against Assad, ISIS, and Vladimir Putin. And you likely won't hear about this in the press, but the construction of that wall on the southern border of this country, yeah, it started in San Diego. And remember, the successful appointment of Neil Gorsuch, an originalist, to the Supreme Court, as promised. I could go on and on. It'll take up the whole show. Look at Zogby. More Americans now believe they're much better off than when Donald Trump took office. But yet the elites in this country, the Democrats, the media, Hollywood, and others all warning you that President Trump would be bad for America. You knew better. Bad for the world. You knew better. In fact, these people were actively and are actively rooting for the president and the country to fail so they can get power back. What they don't understand is that Americans are fed up with both parties. They're disgusted. So they purposely elected an iconoclast, a disruptor, and someone that they knew would get results and make decisions and move at the speed of Trump. And in his first 500 days, the president, he has proved his naysayers wrong. So tonight, an important question to ask: who do you trust? The anti-Trump sycophants who have been wrong over and over and over again, actively now in the position of having to root for failure of the president? That means failure for the country. And by the way, a guy that has gotten results. Tonight, the answer to this question is clear. Everyone in America is reaping the rewards. You, the American